Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coachyourPO. All lowercase, all one word. That's bit.ly/coachyourPO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Friday TGIF and Product Owner episode this week with Kathryn Tancos. Hi, Kathryn. Welcome back.
Hi, Vasco. Thank you. Happy to be here.
And it's a happy day when we get to talk about Product Owner. After all, they are our Robin, our dynamic duo partner for Scrum Masters out there. And of course, because it is such an important role, we want to understand the two sides of the coin, the bad, but also the good. We'll talk about the good later on to end up on a high. And let's start first with the anti-pattern. So, Kathryn, share with us what might have been the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career.
The worst anti-pattern that I witnessed that was practiced by the entire product organization was lack of collaboration. They worked in a silo and they saw nothing wrong with that. And even when the product was failing and development was exploding, they still took a very passive seat and didn't drive. And I think that's one of the biggest problems of when you have a product owner who's disengaged from the team, who pushes responsibility onto the team and is not accountable to themselves or the team. You're just going to be in a world of trouble.
How did you see those anti-patterns? I mean, we talked about they were kind of working in a silo. I think we can all imagine what that looks like. I mean, we do see that in our own teams every day. But what do you mean when you say disengaged and pushing responsibility to the team? How did that look like in practice?
So in this case, product would work very closely with design. They would put the epic together, they would write the feature, and then they would throw it over the wall to the technology team and say, go, do it my way, go. And what was happening was the technology team is now essentially creating their own user stories. And the project then moves from being user-centric from a product perspective to technology driven. And that's where you can lose the voice of your customers and the problem that you're trying to solve for the customers and the features that you want to develop that will delight the customers. So in this case, after an epic or a feature was written, there would be a 1-hour meeting to introduce it to the team, review it with the team, and then that was it. So product did not attend refinement sessions. They did not attend planning. They did not prioritize the backlog. That all fell on the technology team. So when the projects then started taking a more technical tone, product would say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what we want to do. This is what we want to do. And at that point, we're so far down the road in development, it's really hard to backtrack then and for product to start engaging late in the game.
And also because they haven't yet created a language that they could agree on represents the product, right?
Right.
I imagine that product might even have been very good at setting the vision and working with design. But if there's this big gap between, what the features are and what the teams are actually focusing on, the technology, then of course they don't even know how to talk to each other, right? And that's perhaps one of the things that emerges from this separation of product and engineering is this inability to understand each other.
Yes, it was. And it would become quite contentious because folks were frustrated on both sides. So engineering would just go ahead with their own roadmap, and then product saying, well, I don't think that should be done first because that has the least value for our users. And engineering's like, well, I'm sorry, this is what we're doing. If you're not going to play in the day to day, then this is how we're going to do it. And really, product was handing over their power, let's say, and taking a very passive backseat to something that a great product is driven by both the product group, but also the engineering team. They work together, they collaborate together. The big thing here, too, was again, the why. We didn't have the why of the product vision from the technology standpoint. So we're solving things from a technology problem perspective and not a user perspective. So without that consistent engagement and discussion and collaboration, we had huge gaps in understanding what we were even trying to solve for.
And of course, it's very natural for a technology organization like development or engineering to focus on technology.
Yes, yes.
That was a great story, and also filled with a lot of red flags we can look for in the behavior of our product owners, and especially that idea of working closely with design and then not really closely with the development teams. That's definitely a red flag. But now we turn our attention to the opposite, the mirror image of this, which might have been, Kathryn, the best product owner you've ever worked with. Tell us about that product owner.
The best product owners that I have come across understand that they are part of a team and they don't go at it alone. The decision making is done in a collaborative way where they're actually talking to everyone on the team and even people outside of the team and gathering everyone's perspective before making product decisions. So they're talking to design, they're talking to engineering, they're talking to QA, they're talking to data teams, sales and marketing. They're really engaging everyone throughout the organization. And the best POs know that they don't have all the answers. So in one team that I worked on that had a great product owner, it turned out that the best product idea actually came from folks on QA. They had all these great feature ideas that product didn't even think of, that the product owner then took and said, wow, this is really something. And they ran with it. And we were able to build it into the product. So great product owners engage others all the time. They know they don't have all the answers. They're willing to say, that wasn't my idea, but it's a great idea, so let's do it. And that's really important because I have also seen product owners who are like, if that idea didn't come from me, then it's not a good one.
That's actually, as I translate it in my mind, it's also one symptom or sign that the product owner feels they are part of the team, right? They are not bossing the team around. They're not telling the team what to do, but they feel that they are part of the team.
Yeah, that is exactly how I see it. So I was on a team a few years ago where there was a new product owner who treated the team like the team worked for her. And right out of the gate, completely alienated the team and herself. And it took well over a year to mend those relationships. She felt like she was the boss of a team. She felt like she was boss of the organization. She felt that her ideas were really the only ideas that had value. And it just shut the team down. And it was really a shame to see happen. And it was also difficult to solve. And that's, again, where radical candor comes in to have those hard conversations. And it took over a year for that team to build up their trust and for the product owner to step back, again, with humility and see that she's part of a team. She doesn't know it all, and she doesn't have to know it all. And that's the great thing, is that great ideas come from everyone, not just one person.
Yeah. And for me, that also highlights how important it is for Scrum Masters to work with the PO and the team to build that relationship deliberately, right? To make sure that they don't alienate each other, because it can come from either side, not only necessarily POs, but also the teams can alienate product owners.
And that did happen, yeah.
Exactly. And kind of becomes like of this negative dynamic that develops. Kathryn, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the show this week. Unfortunately, we're getting close to the end, but before we go, where can we find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. I think you can put my LinkedIn in the notes, the show notes. So I'm always accessible there. I love hearing from other Scrum Masters. So feel free to reach out. I'm always asking questions, always happy to answer questions. I love coaching one another. So I think LinkedIn is the best way to reach me.
Absolutely. And of course, dear listeners out there, do reach out and ask Kathryn some of the questions I probably didn't ask, but you would have wanted. That's a great way to know each other and, of course, to help each other. So, Kathryn, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun, and I hope to be back again sometime.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over, but there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.